All right, we will call the meeting to order. On my computer, it says it is 6:02. We'll call the meeting to order at 6:02. If we want to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Michael, do you have the American flag?
I do. Sorry, I have 4 different windows open here.
It's all right.
Thank you, Susan.
Wait until that flag comes up.
Should be good.
All right. I pledge
I
allegiance
pledge allegiance to the
to the
flag
flag of the
of the
United
United
States
States of America,
and
to the republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under
under
God,
God, indivisible,
with liberty
and
and
justice
justice for
for
all.
all.
Place.
Thank you, Michael.
You are welcome. I'll share the agenda here. I hope it shows up, and then we should be all set.
It is.
Here.
All right, let's do a roll call. Carrie Fox. Brian Snyder.
Here,
Scott Dodowski, I'm here. Erica Josephowski.
I'm here.
Adam Blythe.
Here.
Lou Ann Homa.
Here.
Jim Bonner.
Here.
Mayor Eric Carter. I know I saw him on here. There he is. All right.
Here.
Borough Manager Michael Nestico is here. I believe Dave Rigoli is absent with cause. I think he had some dental work done today. Correct, Michael?
Yes.
All right. Is Bill with us tonight?
He may be.
I didn't see him on, at least name wise.
Okay.
I saw
we'll keep an
Kurt
eye
on
out.
here earlier. Did you see Kurt earlier?
I did not.
We'll keep an eye out for him. And
Okay. And Anthony Bruder, Code Enforcement Officer, is in fact here. There were no exceptions to the open meeting law. Can we have a motion to approve the minutes of the June 2nd, 2020 regular council meeting?
So moved.
Second.
I have Carrie on the first. And two people came in at the second, the beauty of these Zoom meetings. So
I think it was Jim.
that was my guess. Carrie on the first, Jim on the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. That brings us to, I know it looks like we have a few other, a couple phone numbers and a couple names here that I think are citizens. Michael, if you want to follow the same process that we've been doing, you can unmute everybody. We'll open this portion up to the citizens comment. Again, for anybody that is new to us, we offer the citizens comment 2 times on our agenda. The first time traditionally is for anything that is listed on the agenda. So if there's any citizens present on the meeting right now, wish to comment on anything that is on the agenda, this would be the time to do so. We do also have a citizens comment section at the very end of the meeting, which is kind of open to anything that is not on the agenda. So Michael, if you want to mute anybody that is muted.
okay.
And if there are any citizens that wish to comment on anything that is on the agenda, now is your time.
I did unmute, so I think they started muting back up.
I believe so as well. Going once, going twice. Was there somebody that wanted to make a comment? The last 4 digits, what is that, 6681? Going 3 times. I believe we are good with the first section of the citizens' comment. All right, Michael, I'm going to throw it over to you because it looks like you have a couple communications that have been sent into the borough.
Yes, just 2 communications this month. The first is a communication from an individual requesting to be placed on the boat dock wait list. That's Terry Coons. He sent an email. It's attached. It's on the website. It simply asks to be placed on the wait list for the boat dock. So that is, I believe, an item on the agenda listed under manager section. So that's up for consideration. And then the second communication is a request from several residents located on Bakerstown Road. In lieu of reading the full message, which is posted on the website, may even be visible now with my screen share, but essentially they were asking for some assistance with road signs in the Bakerstown Road area. Reviewed it with the Public Works Department and the police chief. We're looking into a few things regarding this request, and also knowing that it's a county road, we have a few questions that we need to clear up first before we take any action or make any decisions. But it is a request to add some road signage to help assist with traffic speeding on that road. So they're asking for some indicators and some slow markers in the area around 1315 Bakerstown Road. So those are the two communications. If there are any questions on that particular one, like I said, it's still came in June 24th is it what it's dated. And we still have a little bit more digging to do before that either gets addressed or answered, or even comes before council for any sort of consideration that might occur. So that's an update there. Any questions on those two items, the two communications? Okay.
Well,
I think, okay. I'll turn
Mr.
it back over
Mayor,
to you, sir.
passing it on to you for the mayor's report.
Didn't grab my report in time, but I do want to quickly say, on down, there are two motions to hire two part-time police officers to full-time. And I'm asking council to please consider making these two hirings. Both officers love this borough. They want to be here. I think they bring a lot to the borough. They bring a lot to this police force. And I think we'll be set up for quite a while if we bring both of these officers on. It's hard to find good quality officers such as both of these guys, and I'd hate to lose any one of them. So I just ask you all to please think about it and consider hiring both of them. That's all I got.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. President's report. Of course, I got a couple things because I always got a couple things. Just a reminder that our borough office is open. We opened it back on June 22nd, I believe. We are open. The office is open. We have shrunk the hours a little bit, but it is open 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday through Friday. They've got all the social distancing and cleaning and all that kind of stuff is in place. So if you are interested in going down, paying bills, going to the borough office, it is in fact open. Just a reminder, I know we were all hoping that we weren't going to be in a Zoom meeting this particular by July, but continue to reach out, borough manager, any of us as council members for any assistance. All of our communication, email, telephone numbers, etc., are all found out online on the borough website. I actually wanted to give a couple shout outs. One to Highlands School District, and in particular, one of the school counselors, her name is Angela Boyer, and I believe she's with Highlands Elementary in the Early Childhood Center. She had some students write letters of kindness that were delivered. I believe this happened a couple weeks ago, that were finally delivered to the borough. And so I just wanted to thank her for all the work that she did having that. I know, when the borough workers, get a chance to look at them, anytime you get something like that, puts a smile on people's faces. And Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they're all even on, the pictures of them are on the borough website, that if you wanted to click through and take a look at them. I know I did at one point in time, but again, a big shout out to the school district and Miss Boyer specifically for kind of spearheading that. Kind of segues into the other people. Hopefully everyone has noticed the retaining wall and stuff that we've done right at the entrance to the borough. Again, public work guys did an awesome job. It looks amazing.
Yeah,
For
it looks
such
good.
for such a high, traffic area that kind of, is the entrance into our town for everybody that's going, down to the bridge right there. I know it was a project that we budgeted for as a borough. I know we came in under budget. I think it was money well spent, and I think everybody can agree that it looks really clean that area up, and it looks, it's very inviting and such a high profile area. What else do I got for you all? Again, the mayor is highlighted. One of the highlights on tonight's agenda. The motion to hire 2 full-time police officers. A couple other things I know we'll be discussing. Appointee to the planning commission. A policy change kind of with our hiring process, or just some clarification. There were a couple ordinances on there as well. So, look forward to that as we're moving through. The only other thing that I have that I saw on my way in here, and I saw it on social media actually, that I believe the woman that was scheduled to do the diabetes seminars is unfortunately canceling those seminars that were going to happen in the park due to some of the new restrictions. I actually read the article. I think it was in the Trib. I just saw it about an hour and a half ago that I think she's going to need to cancel those sessions that were happening in the park. Finally, again, I brought up the Zoom before. I don't think anybody would disagree with me that nobody likes these meetings. Kind of can't wait till we get back to be in the chambers and able to do that kind of stuff. I know I've talked to a couple council members. These meetings are hard. I mean, it's hard to talk over people. It's hard to, try to figure out when people are getting ready to talk and not talk. So I'm thinking tonight that we might do some more roll call votes, more than normal. Again, I don't want to make anything longer than it needs to be, but even the last one we did with the minutes, it's hard to hear if somebody says yes, somebody says no, especially with some of the ordinances, even the hirings that, may or may not get voted on. Bear with me, because I think, in the abundance of everybody having their voice heard, having some roll call votes, I don't think it's too much to ask, just to, keep everyone on the same page and make sure we get, get the business accomplished that we need to. I don't know if this is the time to talk about it, but I know I've talked to a couple council members. Michael and I have talked about it briefly. Like to look at the idea of making the borough chambers 21st century, as far as the ability to record these meetings. And maybe continue to live stream them as we eventually are able to meet in person. But the one nice thing about what is happening, or the one silver lining, I guess, is now these meetings are all recorded. So somebody that wasn't able to attend, myself, I've actually watched them all again. Council has the opportunity to watch again. I'm just curious what people's thoughts are. Put it in the budget, see if we can find some money somehow to be able to invest in, some technology. Maybe it's one camera that we kind of can mount on the ceiling. Maybe it's 6 or 7 microphones that we can place in front, so we can hold these meetings, like we traditionally do in person, excuse me, but they can be recorded. If we want to continue to do the live stream, I think it just, for the public record, for us, for anybody involved, to have those recordings of those meetings for people to go back and talk about and view. That's the one silver lining that's come out of all this, that I don't know what other people's opinions are. And again, I don't know if this is the appropriate time to talk about it, but I had the floor, so I brought it up. Anybody have any?
Sorry, I can just add in, just to kind of piggyback onto that. Sorry, I'm muted because I can hear my kids upstairs. Yeah, I think it would be a positive thing. The concept would likely include putting like mics in front of each of the council seats so that you could properly record the meetings. Right now, we do it on a little recording device. It's hard to hear when people are speaking over one another. It's also hard to hear people that are farther away from that little device. So if we improve the audio setup, that would, of course, allow for the recordings of the meetings to be clearer and better. And then also, in addition to that, as Scott mentioned, and some of us have also talked about, potentially including video into that mix, whether it be to record the meetings to then upload, or even getting to a point where we could broadcast them live on the internet. So either one of those, I think that it would be a worthwhile investment. I know that general range of the setup to do things like that could be anywhere between a couple $1,000s to, well, of course, an unlimited amount, depending on how big of an improvement it is, but anywhere from $2,000 to $6,000, depending on the type of setup you get, the amount of microphones, the type of receiver, whether you do audio, video, or just audio. But I think it would be a worthwhile thing to examine. So I'd kind of piggyback on what Scott has said. I think if there's any time to do it, now may even be the best time, because we don't know what the future looks like, at least in the short term. And if anything, it may allow for us to have meetings in the room, in the council chambers, but then still, if we have that capability, broadcast live so that folks don't have to come down to the building and contend with the virus and masks and things like that. So those are certainly options that can spiral from an improvement like this. So I think it's a worthwhile thing to do. I think we may all even recognize that it's been necessary for some time. So maybe now is the best time to take that leap. I think we could, price things out and come to maybe a decision on it. But so I think that's a good idea, Scott.
Yeah, I agree. I'm all for anything that advances, technology in the borough building. Scott's right. It'll help with the public record, and it is, it's 2020. It's time to move forward with newer technology in the borough, and I think this is a good place to start.
I not only think that we need to improve the technology, I think we need to, it's been mentioned time and time again about our borough building and the size of our area that we have our, our council chambers and how it's set up. I think in the near future, we're probably going to have to consider looking for a different area, like Jim had stated in his email. And, maybe we do have a lot of wasted space in our borough building, and maybe we ought to consider getting somebody to look at our borough building and consider maybe seeing where our wasted space is and how we can reconfigure what we have. Because I don't think in the near future, we're going to be able to have a new borough building, but we have to consider getting more space and utilizing the space that we have. So I'm thinking that I don't know that much about construction, but I think that there are things that we could do that would be, cost effective. Even in just moving the women's bathroom on the other side of the wall, I think would be cost effective and give us more space in the council chambers. So just things like that. I think we need more space in our council chambers all over, that's just an overall matter that we have to start thinking about.
Yeah, I think anything is up for discussion. Before we move on to solicitor's report, does anybody else have any comment? I don't want to cut anybody off on any of that discussion as far as adding some technology to our building.
Second place.
All right. That is all I have. I know Dave is not here for a solicitor report. Police report. Erica, did you get anything from the chief as far as police report?
The
here,
chief
Scott.
also may be
Copy.
logged in as well.
Okay. I'm not sure that I see him on here.
Scott?
Yep.
I'm here. I
All
have
right,
no
Bill.
report, but I'm here.
Oh,
for questions. Hi, how are you? Mike likes to keep me muted. He likes to control what I say.
I try to do
I'm
that
here,
in
so
the
if you
office.
need-
I did not mute him on the Zoom.
I
But I'm
apologize
here,
for.
but I have no report at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chief. All right. Moving right along. Code Officer Anthony, what do you have for us?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Just to give an update. Sorry, I just heard thunder outside.
Okay.
Or fireworks.
Can't say that word.
Update on the demolitions. There are now 18 completed on the west side. There's going to be, they're working on, they started a few more there, and there are going to be 4 more on the east side for this particular round. I foresee them wrapping up, by the end of summer, and you'll see further down under new business, there are an additional 15 houses that will need to be tested for asbestos. They will be on the next round of demolitions, and we're still, we have 6 more that were for the CDBG grant, and I'm not sure when those will commence. Those haven't been put out for bid yet. That's all I have, unless someone has questions.
Thanks, Anthony.
You're welcome.
All right, Michael, I believe you are up. Manager.
Okay. So we have the upcoming events you can see there on your screen and listed on the agenda. The diabetes seminar in the park, of course, they are canceled until further notice. That's unfortunate, but they didn't want to put the individuals at risk that would be attending that event, so it makes sense. There are 2 concerts in the park scheduled for July 16th and July 30th. And also in between that, a rec board meeting may potentially take place on the 28th, depending on the needs of the board. And then we circle back to our next council meeting, which would be August 4th. So those items are all listed on the borough calendar as well. The reports have been uploaded for the legislative locator, PALRAS, and the engineering report. The first 2 are more updates on a state level and an administrative level for municipalities. The engineer report does include some minor updates on some of the projects. The Bridge Street, 2nd Avenue storm separation project is underway. I think some of the folks in town unfortunately did not have water today for a brief period of time because they hit a pipe that wasn't, located, and they had to go ahead and fix that and find the parts and work to correct that issue. So that was something unforeseen. Once they finish that, they'll then circle back to the West 8th water line project. It's the same contractor, so they kind of can't be in 2 places at one time. They also indicated, it's in the report, that they were having some issues with too many cars being parked in the street because of the stay-at-home orders and the virus shutdown. So there were a lot of vehicles in the way. So they're hoping to return to that project when the restrictions are lifted. That's what it says in the report. So the remaining parts of the report are things we've talked about generally from month to month. The CDBG application for 2020, we did get a notice that we're going to be awarded a little bit more funding. I believe the original amount was somewhere in the $25,000 range, give or take. I don't have it right in front of me, but they're now going to award $39,000, which is essentially the amount that the project, which is a valve project, was going to cost. So what happened is, I think that the county found a way to kind of, utilize the funds to the extent that each project needed it. It had something to do with the shutdown, and I have explanation from the Tom Banicki from the COG, but nonetheless, the important takeaway is that the project will be fully funded, which was a $39,000 valve project. So that's on the engineering report. It is listed online. And so then we'll move from there. I have to get my screen back. I apologize. Just some brief details of what's going on at the ball field. I'd emailed council, but wanted to provide a public update, I suppose. We removed the backstops. We removed the dugouts from Field C. They were, an issue for us with vandalism and people kind of hanging out in there and illicit activity and some other things. So in conjunction with getting rid of those, we also removed the fencing area and the backstops that would allow for it to be utilized by the football RIFO football program a little bit better than the previous setup. We talked to Little League about that. They were agreeable, and so our Public Works Department did do that work. So the field has been slightly reconstructed to remove those items and help with RIFO's activities there in that area. So any questions on that, or even anything in the engineer's report or otherwise?
I have a question about the dugouts.
Okay.
Not the dugouts, I'm sorry, the backstops. Was there a discussion about giving them new backstops?
There was. So the talk was potentially doing a temporary or portable backstop. Anything from what we looked at, because that field, I guess I'll take one step back. Little League uses that field primarily for T-ball.
Right.
T-ball in its essence really doesn't need a backstop, but I think they said some of the rules for the league require at least a minimal backstop for whatever purposes they may be, safety or otherwise. So it is possible, if they need one, that we could even purchase a portable one. They sell ones that even are made out of regular netting, not actual fencing. So it's possible to find a very economical way to help if they do need a backstop. You can find them for a few $100s. So if we get to that point, we can certainly do that. And there was also talk, just to kind of add on, about relocating the fencing and repurposing it. But when they took it down, I guess it was so brittle that it kind of broke apart, and they weren't really able to repurpose it. Again, it's not the end of the world. They were just going to relocate it to help kind of improve the barrier between parents, spectators, and the players. But without having that fencing, they were going to install it kind of near the deck hockey area in what would be the outfield. We're just not going to do that. I don't think it's the end of the world. So we were hoping to repurpose it, but unfortunately it wasn't able to be reused.
Okay, well, I was just asking about the backstops because somebody questioned me about it, and I said I would find out for sure.
Sure. Yeah. So we work pretty well with both football and baseball. So
Right.
if we have the need to get them some sort of backstop or anything like that, we'll certainly look at doing that. It'll be a minimal cost.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions on this or any other items? Okay, Scott, I can turn it back over to you if you'd like, or if you want me to read through these, I can.
Let's do. All right. Sorry, I was yelling at my child.
Understandable. Go ahead. I'll let you take over from here on the new business.
All right.
And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer any of these items. Any questions on these items?
Perfect. All right. The very first one, motion to pay the borough bills for the month of June 2020. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have Brian and Carrie again. Just to let me find my.
Actually, it was
I'm
me.
sorry,
Scott.
Brian and Luann. I did write Luann. I don't know why I said Carrie. I apologize.
That's okay.
Like I mentioned earlier, just to kind of make sure we're all on the same page, we'll do a roll call vote just so we all can be heard. Ms. Fox,
Yes.
Mr. Snyder,
Yes.
Mr. Nadowski would be yes. Ms. Josephowski,
Yes.
Mr. Blythe,
Yes.
Ms. Homa,
Yes.
Mr. Bonner.
Yes.
7-0. The next motion you will see on here is a list that Anthony actually talked about. The list of, I believe there's 15 different properties without reading through all of the addresses. Do I have a motion to approve RFP number 2020-01 to conduct asbestos testing at those properties that are listed?
So moved.
Second.
Luann and Brian.
Carrie and Brian.
Carrie, why am I keep doing that? See, I'm telling you, it's just Zoom stuff.
Well, they both sound so lovely. You know, it's hard to tell them apart.
Now on, we'll do this.
How good is that?
Jazz hands.
Yeah.
Miss Fox,
Yes.
Mr. Snyder,
Yes.
Mr. Dudowski is a yes. Miss Josephowski,
Yes.
Mr. Blythe,
Yes.
Miss Homa,
Yes.
Mr. Bonner.
Yes.
All right, that is 7-0. The next motion, do I have a motion to appoint Cindy Holmberg to the Planning Commission, said term to expire December 31st, the year 2022?
So moved.
Second.
I know that was Carrie that time. I believe it was Adam on the second is the first. I heard that
Correct.
one first. Look at that.
Yep.
See, it only took me 3 times. Miss Fox,
Yes.
Mr. Snyder,
Yes.
Mr. Dudowski is a yes. Miss Josephowski,
Yes.
Mr. Blythe,
Yes.
Miss Homa,
Yes.
Mr. Bonner.
Yes.
All right, that 7-0. There is a motion to approve the curb cut application 20-01 at 201 Allegheny Street. Before we have a motion, are there any questions or discussion points that we need to have on this? This is the same one we talked about, I believe, the last meeting or the meeting before, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any questions or any discussion points we need to have on this? All right, can I have a motion to approve curb cut application 20-01 at 201 Allegheny Street?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Second.
I believe that is Adam and Carrie. That's the way my ears heard it. Miss Fox,
Yes.
Mr. Snyder,
Yes.
Mr. Dudowski is a yes. Miss Josephowski,
Yes.
Mr. Blythe,
Yes.
Miss Homa,
Yes.
Mr. Bonner.
Yes.
7-0. All right. Next one. Can I have a motion to place Terry Coons on the Tarentum Borough Boat Dock waiting list at position number 17, subject to payment of the wait list fee?
So moved.
Second.
Carrie on the first and Adam on the second. Again, this was the communication that Michael talked about earlier in the meeting. Miss Fox,
Yes.
Mr. Snyder,
Yeah.
Mr. Dudowski is a yes. Miss Josephowski,
Yes.
Mr. Blythe,
Yes.
Miss Homa,
Yes.
Mr. Bonner.
Yes.
That again is 7-0. All right. The next two are hiring motions. I'll read the first one. Do I have a motion to hire part-time officer Jordan Schreckengoss as a full-time police officer effective August 1st, 2020?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
I have Carrie Fox on the first, Brian on the second.
Place.
Well, that's just Luann yelling at her dogs.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Miss Fox,
Yes.
Mr. Snyder,
Yes.
Mr. Dudowski is a yes. Eric, Miss Josephowski,
Yes.
Mr. Blythe,
Yes.
Miss Homa,
Yes.
Mr. Bonner.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Motion to hire part-time officer Jeremy Beluzar, I hope I pronounced that correctly, as a full-time police officer effective April 1st, 2020.
So moved.
So moved.
I have Carrie on the first, and I believe it was Adam on the second.
Yeah.
Ms. Fox,
Yes.
Mr. Snyder,
Yes.
Mr. Dudowski is a yes. Ms. Josephowski,
Yes.
Mr. Blythe,
Yes.
Ms. Homa,
Yes.
Mr. Bonner.
Yes.
That passed 7-0. Let me be the first to congratulate both Jordan and Jeremy on your hire to be full-time police officers. To echo the thoughts that the mayor said earlier, they're both great officers, and again, congratulations and welcome aboard. The next one is a dealing with the hiring process. Before I ask for a motion, do we need to have any discussion, questions, comments, concerns before I ask for a motion about the hiring process, this particular section that we want to adopt? Michael, I don't know if you want to talk briefly on this.
Yes, sorry, I had to take my headset off for just a moment. So I missed what you said, but I think if we're going to discuss the policy manual, I had discussion with some of the council members. There were a couple suggested changes, I think relevant changes, or they could be implemented. I think a couple minor ones. And I talked with Jim. He reviewed this pretty thoroughly with me, and we kind of stepped our way through it. I actually could turn it over to Jim. I think that his few recommendations that he also sent to council were, good recommendations, and they would help kind of support the overall process. The big decision I think that we would want to make, and again, I don't want to speak for Jim, I think he can probably touch on this, is the portion of the policy where it sets forth, and I'll pull the language specifically, which was number 9 on, I think sorry, my computer's running slowly, second page of the policy, where it says the borough manager or designee will screen all applications received to determine qualification for the position being filled. And I think that we had discussion about this, potentially making a committee or the committee, such as the admin, HR, finance committee, may be the most appropriate, as the named entity, I guess it would be, or group that will screen the applications in conjunction with the manager or designee. But I'll turn it over to Jim. I think if you don't mind, Jim, you could probably speak to this rather well. You were the one that commented pretty well and I guess viewed it kind of thoroughly. So I'll kick it over to you.
Actually, you made my point well without me even having to open my mouth. But no, I would recommend adjusting that one section under recruitment number 9. That it would be the committee that would review and approve them, and would suggest that for a couple of reasons. One is usually a committee screening that will come up with a better decision. It also removes any of bias or action by one person. I would think in most cases, the committee, which again would be the admin, HR, finance committee, including the borough manager and whomever the department head or other hiring manager would be, that group could screen them, could probably do it pretty quickly after the position postings are closed. And again, there's never a question of any one person being negligent or biased.
With that said, any other questions or discussion on this topic from anyone else? I muted Brian. I think maybe there were dogs in the background. I think that was Brian. Am I
Okay.
frozen? Anybody else there?
Am I back?
Now you're back.
Okay. I don't know if I was frozen or if we just hit a lull there. Any other thoughts, feedback, questions, discussion on the overall policy manual or even the suggestions that were just made?
All right, without any other questions or comments, so I have a motion to adopt policy manual, chapter 2, employment, section 12, hiring process.
If I
So
may,
moved.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt before people were motioning, but I would say that we can add in with the slight modifications. And again, I don't necessarily have to put that in the minutes, but I want to make sure that so that everybody knows what we would be adopting here. I would say that this adoption is including the changes that were recommended by Jim in his email, which I will then add to this section. So as long as we all have that common understanding of what we're voting on, that's the important thing.
I agree, Michael.
For the record, would it be best for us to make the motion, do a second, and then make that as an amendment? That would probably read better in minutes.
Well, whatever we can do it either way, really, because I mean, we're making the motion now. So I can just word it to say that it's a motion to adopt the policy manual with the modifications as set forth below, and I can type them out. But nonetheless, it was a draft version anyway. So technically you're adopting the version that you want, which would include, I think, those changes. As long as everybody's on board, that's the key. Making sure that everybody knows what they're voting on, yes or no.
All right, I'm just gonna read that again because I know people chimed in and I didn't get to hear who was first or second. So based on everything that Michael just said, motion to adopt the policy manual, chapter 2, employment, section 12, hiring process with the modifications and changes that were suggested. Do I have a first and a second?
So moved.
Second.
I believe that was Adam on the first and Carrie on the second. Ms. Fox,
Yes.
Mr. Snyder,
Yes.
Mr. Nadowski is a yes. Ms. Josephowski,
Yes.
Mr. Blythe,
Yes.
Ms. Homa,
Yes.
Mr. Bonner.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. All right, the next one, again, before we make a motion, it's an ordinance that looks like it talks about a penalty for excessive police, first response, and public safety calls within a 30-day time frame to the same location. It's ordinance number 06-02. I'm sorry, 20-02. It's a revision of ordinance number 0602. Michael, I'm going to turn it back over to you. Looks like you have shared it on the screen.
Yes, so this is an ordinance that was adopted in 2006, essentially establishing a small fee to be paid for excessive police calls within a 30-day time frame. I'd mentioned this in my email to council. This is an ordinance that is very rarely used. Obviously, we don't run into this situation too often, but in talking with the chief, we were having one issue in particular, and when examining it, it seemed that the language of the ordinance would be better suited to read as a fine and not a surtax. There are reasons for that, but it deals with the way the police can technically cite and enforce the ordinance. So it looked like a minor revision would be appropriate and recommended to allow the police department to have a more streamlined approach when they do run into this very rare circumstance. The alternative is by going with the 2006 version, we're sending more letters and notices and don't have the ability to necessarily just issue the citation and go to court. Again, this is not a common thing within the borough, so it's not as if people are continuously making excessive calls. So this is somewhat unique, but we recognized kind of a little issue that could be corrected. And in conjunction with that, as I mentioned in my email as well, you'll see the caption changed. So it read previously, police calls. We thought it would be prudent, or I thought it would be prudent, talking with the chief, I think he agreed, to add in first response and public safety. So in the instance, again, very rare scenario, but if someone were essentially making excessive calls for code matters that were consuming borough resources beyond reason or something reasonable, then it would maybe implicate this same ordinance. Again, it's not something common, so it's not an everyday thing that we have to use this. But that is the I guess it would be the new ordinance or amendment, if you will. It would just be for advertising purposes at this meeting, and then we could come forward in August and adopt the actual ordinance if everybody were in favor. So that's what I'm proposing to council here in this ordinance.
Any follow-up questions or discussion for anything that Michael just read? All right. Do I have a motion to advertise ordinance number 20-02, ordinance of the Borough of Tarentum, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, establishing a penalty for excessive police, first response, and public safety calls within a 30-day time frame to the same location?
So moved.
Second.
Brian on the first and Carrie on the second. Ms. Fox?
Yes.
Mr. Snyder?
Yes.
Mr. Dadowski is yes. Ms. Josephowski?
Yes.
Mr. Blythe?
Yes.
Ms. Homa?
Yes.
Mr. Bonner?
Yes.
Passed 7-0. All right. Michael, I believe that is the end of all of your manager sections or anything else before we move on to Luann to talk about Public Works.
No, I have no other business, but I do have one item, and I guess maybe somewhat of an oversight on my part. At the beginning of the meeting, I had intended to put in there for a moment of silence for Recreation Board member Gina Landa, who had recently passed. I did forget to do that between the draft and the final version, but I did not. I just thought of it as we were going through this. I did not want to forget. She was an active member in the Recreation Board. I'm sure that Carrie may have, obviously with her involvement in the Rec Board, may have some words to offer as well, some much better words than I could offer. But I didn't want to let the meeting go any further without acknowledging that oversight. I apologize. But I'm sure that Carrie may have some kind words to offer for her when it gets to the recreation portion of the meeting. So that's all that I have.
Okay. We will get back to that, Carrie, if that's all right with you, whenever you hit the rec board and we can do it its due diligence. Moving on to Public Works, Ms. Homa.
The monthly report will be online, and you covered everything about the triangle and the work that the guys did up there. So
Yeah, it
that's
looks great.
They did a great job.
All right, thank you very much. Moving to utilities, Mr. Bonner.
Yep, we have a couple of items here. First, the report is linked here off of the agenda and will be online. Most notable, over 26 million gallon of water produced, which math tells me equals about 200 million pounds of water. That way, that's a lot to carry up the hill, but they do it. We do have one motion that I'd like to put forward. It is a resolution of the Borough of Tarentum, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, to repeal Resolution 20-3 and reinstating the termination of utility service in Tarentum Borough. 20-03 was passed a few months ago, back at the beginning of the pandemic. It was a voluntary action that we took to discontinue any type of termination services during the heaviest part of the pandemic. I think we all agree we're kind of back into a new normal period, and we need to get there ourselves. And in discussions with Michael, it really has not had much of an impact. There are some people that are delinquent, but they were also having challenges before the pandemic hit, and it's really not had any real term or impact on the lives of, currently of people. So we're asking to get us back to normal.
Anybody have any? Go ahead, Carrie. I'm sorry.
I just said so moved, or second rather.
Before we vote, I know the motion's there. Is there any other questions or comments anybody has before we roll call?
This takes effect, well, starting August 1st, correct?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I thought. Double checking.
All right. Ms. Fox.
Are we done voting on that?
No, we're going to vote right now. I'm sorry.
Oh,
You're up first. Miss Fox, go ahead.
you want me to do my cog before we
No,
vote on
no.
that motion?
I'm sorry?
Do we need to vote on that?
Yeah, we need to vote on that. We have the motion and you did the second, but we didn't vote on it yet.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm like, you confused me. I'm sorry.
Uh,
Oh, God, I'm sorry.
that's okay.
I apologize.
Hey, it's July, but I think it was raining actually. Anyways,
It got to my brain today. I'm sorry.
All right, Carrie was a yes. Mr. Snyder,
Yes.
Mr. Nadowski is a yes. Miss Josephowski,
Yes.
Mr. Blythe,
Yes.
Miss Homa,
Yes.
Mr. Bonner.
Yes.
All right, that was 7-0 yes. All right, now, Carrie, you can talk to us about the COG.
You sure you want me to?
Of course.
Well, Michael already touched on this, but we had our meeting on June 24th. And I'll just explain a little bit further what Michael already reported, but the County of Allegheny Executive Rich Fitzgerald sent out a letter to COG and the municipalities waiving $1.7 million in municipal funding for local matches for the CDBG projects, which you all know that's community development block grants. They want the projects to move forward in our municipalities. It's very important that these economic stimulus projects move forward in our regions. So with that said, they didn't want the municipalities to have any worries about this impacting our budgets. So therefore, Trentham was awarded, they were awarded originally the $28,018, but the increase was $10,982. And like Michael said, our total project amount is $39,000 for our water valve replacement phase 5 project. So that was very good news on the COG end. And that's all I have to report on COG.
It would help if I muted myself. That was excellent news. Thank you. Miss Homa, the comp plan.
Yes, we received a draft plan, a draft of the comp plan for us to review. We're to review and get back to them by July 12th. It's kind of extensive to read through everything. But then after that, we'll be moving on.
Excellent.
Hopefully Michael read it too, so.
I bet you he did.
I hope so.
Over to Mr. Blythe for finance and administration.
Just the reports are online. You can see the links there. That's about it.
If I may add in also, sorry to chime in. Adam may have been about to mention this, but I cut him off. The real estate transfer tax reports that are sent over from the county, they're now sending them digitally, which is nice and allows me to conveniently upload them to the website. This May report was the first one they sent by email digitally. They had sent them in the past, but it wasn't in a format that was easy enough to upload. So you could probably look for these reports now to occur regularly along with the other financial reports. And again, what I'll do is just switch over the screen for anybody who hasn't taken a look yet. But I thought I got it right there, but let's see here. So you can see the real estate transfer tax report. It will list the properties within Tarentum Borough that have had modifications to their tax amount, whether it be an increase, decrease, et cetera. It lists the property and what the change was, whether it's exempt or affidavit override, et cetera. So just another report to kind of add to our list of things that we're tracking and being aware of. So I apologize to Adam if I interrupted him in explaining that, but the
No worries.
report used to contain all the municipalities. It was a little bit more difficult to navigate, and so now it's nice and streamlined. So sorry, Adam. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Adam. Parks, Rec, Library. Back to you, Carrie.
As Michael mentioned, we did lose our board member, Gina Landa, which I found out that she goes by, she went by Landa, which was her maiden name, but her real name was I can't even pronounce her last name. So when you see the obituary, she does have a different last name. I did find out. So, but at this time, can I ask for a moment of silence for Gina? Thank you. As you know, we don't know what's going to happen. We do have 2 concerts scheduled in July. We have Daniels and McLean and Jim Felix, but as you know, with the county and the state stepping in with Allegheny County's increase in the COVID cases, we really don't know what's going to happen. If they stick to the crowds being at 25, that we may not be able to have our concerts, but we're just going to have to stay tuned to find out if we can have our concerts or not. So we'll have to stay tuned to that. July 28th will be our rec board meeting. And I just would like to recognize Gina. It saddens the recreation board to have lost such an asset, a hard worker, and a dedicated board member and a friend. Gina was always there lending a helping hand. She stepped up to be our treasurer. She was always full of ideas and came prepared to give her all. Gina volunteered at the clothing closet at the Central Presbyterian Church. She weeded Trentham 6th Avenue for several years, even after we had our streetscape project. She volunteered at the community library, and she volunteered on the recreation board for 2.5 years. She will be missed immensely, and thank you, Gina, for your service to Tarentum Borough. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Moving along to Brian, Mr. Snyder, special events and tourism. You're on mute, sir.
No report at this time.
Thank you. Ms. Josephowski, redevelopment, revitalization.
I don't really have a report, but I had kind of talked about a few months ago the company that is restoring properties and reselling them. And they had applied for a number of properties through the vacant property, the Allegheny County Vacant Property Program. And they were offered, they received a letter back, and they're currently working on acquiring at least one of those properties. And they have put offers in on some of the other ones that were foreclosures. So I'll keep you posted on that, but nothing really in the way of redevelopment at this time. And then I guess for property zoning, I think that Anthony covered all that pretty well. I don't really have anything to add.
Excellent. Thank you.
Sure.
Scott,
Yes.
I forgot something in my report I wanted to mention.
Oh, man.
I just wanted to ask if there was anything we could do about the basketball hoops down on Hoops for Sixth. The hoop that's on, I guess you would say the hoop that's on the east part or east side, is broken off. And I was wondering if there was any way that I could ask for that to be repaired.
Yes, I'll kind of interject here. There is, I mean, obviously we have the ability to repair that. We can, we should. I saw that the other day. I know that the only reservation I had with telling them to move forward and do that without even thinking twice about it is, I guess, from the feedback I've received, we continue to face issues there with vandalism and people damaging them. So if we want to move forward and repair that, that's easy enough. It's not a, too costly of an item. It is unfortunate that if we have to keep repairing them. And that's the feedback I get is every time they fix it, it seems like people are going over there and ruining things. So it can be repaired. We can do that if we want to go, and I don't want to say bite the bullet on that because it's not a large scale item, but we can do that if we want to get it up and running, because one of the hoops is still in good shape, which is nice.
Well, it's really unfortunate because we had originally purchased these backboards. We put a lot of thought into what kind of backboards, and they were like, shatter resistant or proof or whatever. And somebody had thrown cinder blocks through them. And I know that we've replaced them a number of times, and now there's graffiti. I took my kids down there to play last week, and there's graffiti over top of the mural that was painted. And I know that, Scott, you had talked a little bit about, some budget items. I would really like to see a camera down there. And I think that might, I don't know, at least deter people from destroying the place. I don't know.
I
Yeah.
thought that the paint that we put down there was graffiti proof.
I think that we use that clear coat, right? So I think that they can pressure wash and take it off. The clear coat is supposed to be, it's the same stuff that I think we put under the bridge to where you just wash it and the graffiti comes off. I'm not positive.
Well, Michael, is there a better basketball hoop that we could purchase? Something that's tougher than what we've been replacing them with?
I mean, I'll go on a limb and say maybe not. I mean, depending on the shatterproof type purchased before, sometimes that means for, actual gameplay like dunking and things like that. But I mean, we could certainly put a backboard in there that can't be, damaged. They have like metal ones or things like that could be installed. But I think, as with anything else, I mean, if you want to damage something, you can find a way to do it. You could have a metal backboard and, the metal rim and bolt it up there, as strong as you'd like. But I think if someone wants to damage that, they could probably hang from there and pull hard enough to create issues. So, but I mean, look, let's face it, at the end of the day, if we want to have the hoops there and improved, we just have to find one of the more durable
Yeah,
like those
Is there an
old
option to
schools.
put cameras?
The camera
Right,
idea
we
is
need
not a
lights.
bad one.
We need
I
lights.
mean, that's definitely
We
what
need
needs to be
camera.
done.
Yeah, lighting, adequate lighting at night and the camera.
I only mentioned on the cameras, and I'm sorry to interrupt, just before we go too far down that path. Lighting may be easier than the camera because we'd have to have, there may not be the setup over there to install a camera. For example, we
have
put new
lighting.
ones in the park, and it was easy because, years ago when they prepared for cameras in the park, they kind of prepared the whole park in case you want to install more later. And so it was an easy install. When we made that decision last year by the bathrooms, it's already set up to have cameras in that area. I don't know about the area over on 6th. I'm going to guess that we're not set up over there because I'm not aware of cameras in that particular vicinity. I could be wrong. But if we want to put them in, it may be a little bit larger of a project because we'd have to bring the camera lines down over to that area. And then, again, that's just me kind of guessing off the top of my head, but I think that could be maybe a little bit of a hurdle that we'd have to overcome.
I'm pretty sure they have like cloud-based cameras now, wireless cameras.
Yeah, I mean, that may be something we can look at.
Yeah.
I just researching some of those, and also some links to some wireless internet-based cameras, pretty decently priced, pan zoomed.
Yeah, again, the issue would be we'd have to have internet over there in some fashion. So, we'd have to tie into someone's internet.
Off of Comcast with their Xfinity, you can pick up a lot of places. There's some ways to do it.
Yeah, we can look at that. We haven't really crossed this bridge, so we could look at that.
Yeah. Well, if we decide to replace that hoop, that'll be at least the second time that I know that it's been replaced. It's been replaced at least twice. This will be the third time.
Well, I know they've been replaced several times, but if you're gonna have a playground,
Well, I mean,
why
I'm
have
just
a
saying, how many
basketball
times
hoop
do we have to
without one
replace
hoop?
it? Yeah, it's no fun to just have one hoop, but it comes a time where you kind of got to say, like, you keep ruining it, and we're just not going to replace it.
Yeah, I mean,
If
And
I
like
may,
Erica
sure.
said, they found a way to put cinder blocks through shatterproof backboards. So
I don't remember those ever being installed because when they went to install those, I thought we sent them back because they couldn't install them on the poles. They had to use the old ones to put up. So they put the old ones up.
The old ones came up second. We got the shatterproof ones. They were smashed almost immediately. We put the old ones up. Luckily, they had saved them out of the borough garage. And then I think we had to buy new ones even after that. I think Brian's right. These are our third ones. And you're both right. Yeah, I mean, this is part of running a playground, but, I'm tired of it too. That's why I'd really like to have a camera down there.
And just to add on to that, I mean, it's the same kind of thought process that I've taken with the deck hockey area. The nets were ruined down there. It's unfortunate. They're not nearly as durable. They're, the PVC pipe netting, but we had a local resident purchase and donate nets so that they could run their own little deck hockey for kids. And so that individual put in nets last year, brand new nets that they paid for and donated to the borough. And now you can see them down there and they're destroyed, both of them.
yeah,
It's pretty unfortunate. And so again, that's the decision, as the manager, I've kind of weighed that. Like I said, I saw the one hoop damaged not only just the other day driving through, but it's been like that. And that's the kind of the difficulty we're in is, how often do you repair it before you kind of say to the kids in the community, sorry, we're just not going to provide the amenity if you're going to keep ruining it. And certainly there are some that are ruining it probably for the majority. And that's unfortunate.
Well, and with all due respect to everybody that was involved in the decision to dismantle the skate park, that was because of one hole in one ramp. And they called it vandalism and tore the whole park down. So if you want to replace a hoop for the third time, that's fine, but I disagree.
It's understandable, Brian.
And I think the camera issue, as Jim was saying, I mean, there are, we can do some investigating. There's some ways that we could do that. And I also think that kind of opens up, hey, if we're going to have one down there, what if we're going to pay for that cloud-based service or something like that, you might as well look at what it costs to put one down by Dresser or on both ends of Dresser or something along that ends, while you're looking at, a whole system or something like that. But any other questions or comments about that particular park or area before we move on to public safety?
Just to conclude the dialogue on that, I will look into a few things. I'll start to gather some information for everybody, and I'll bring it back to you with some options and some ideas.
Excellent. Finally, Mr. Blythe, public safety.
Just Eureka's month report is online. I would like to second as far as congratulating Jordan and Jeremy on joining, our team here. I think that sets us up obviously for years to come. So I couldn't, be happier about that.
I think we all agree with you. I think we definitely all agree with you. All right. That brings us to, I think we've got at least one citizen left on the line, to our final opportunity for citizens comment. Again, traditionally, this one has been open to anything that's on the agenda or anything that is not on the agenda. So, Maggie, I know you are muted now, but if you have a comment or a question or would like to make a statement, please feel free to kind of, unmute yourself and make your comment.
Hey guys, I just wanted to say hello everybody. And I just wanted to follow up. I was actually just driving past the basketball court on my way home and thought the same thing. Usually I see, a group of about 5 kids sitting around there. So I don't know if they are the issue or, somebody else. Like I said, I drive past it usually every day. But I kind of have to agree, where do we stop replacing things for them to damage again? Oh.
Thank you.
Molly! Sorry guys, I'm walking around the yard trying to get the dog.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
She's
All
in,
right.
man. I went out of service for.
Right. Any other citizen?
It's a really nice little ball court, and it's really.
I believe we might have lost her, but I think we got the gist of her comment about the basketball court. Any other citizen comment? Before I ask for a motion to adjourn, is there anything else that any council member, the mayor, Anthony, Michael would like to discuss?
I just want to throw it out there that the Local Governments Academy and Allegheny League of Municipalities are having some great webinars this summer. So if anybody wants to take advantage of them, I've taken advantage of several and they are really great. So I think you guys should chime in and listen to those webinars. They're usually Tuesdays and Thursdays from 2 to 3. And if you chime in, and even if you get distracted, they'll send you a link at the end. And you can, as long as you're on there and then you fill out the survey at the end of it, you can listen to the recording afterwards. So it's really a nice thing because like I said, even if you get distracted, as long as you're
the borough manager laughing at me. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm yelling at the dog. Come on, Maul. Hey. No, come on.
You listen to it, or have it on, you can listen to the recording later on. They'll send you the link to listen to the recording. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
That's good information, Carrie. That definitely is good information. Thank you.
I just wanted to add that I wasn't laughing at her. I don't know what that was about.
I think she got back into service and was still yelling at the dog.
I didn't even have my headset on to laugh at her.
She doesn't know that we couldn't hear her.
Nope. That's all right. All right. So, sorry, Jim.
That was Scott. That was me.
Oh.
I was just going to ask Michael, should we update the residents about the results of the zoning hearing board meeting?
Well, being that there's only, I think, one resident on here, there was a little article in the paper.
there.
So,
Okay.
I mean, I could certainly just say something for the purpose of the minutes, but the zoning hearing board did rule in favor of the borough with regard to the issue at hand, which was whether we permitted billboards anywhere in the borough, is I guess the simple way to describe it. So it remains to be seen whether the company will appeal that decision, or I guess continue to raise the issue with the courts in Allegheny County. So.
That's all I had.
Oh, that's a good topic to bring up, Anthony. All right. If we don't have anything else, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:18 p.m.?
So
So
moved.
moved.
So moved. Second.
There's a whole bunch. The first two voices I heard were men, so I'm going to go out on a limb and say Adam and Jim.
Yep.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. 7:18. Adjourned.
Have a great night.
All right.
Thanks,
take
everybody.
care.